You join us as the cortege moves up the Finglas Road with the Army Number 1 band now playing a Celtic Lament. It was first arranged by the first Irish director of the Army School of Music, Colonel Jim Doyle. It incorporates Lord Lovat's Lament, The Croppy Boy, and Wrap the Green Flag Round Me. And outside on that Finglas Road, for hours now, what began as a small group of people has become a great crowd, a great gathering. The sort of scenes that we witnessed in O'Connell Street are more subdued here, but people wishing to be part and parcel of an important day in the life of our state.
Agus tagad Gamal Ray Kushach, Trial Relig Glass 9, Decnor Oglach. A hit son the public the Credchidinti Agus Garfichiad a son. Lihishiad Ansa Conshi. Inov on Carula Giagerafor, Blian on Davile is a hair. Fui Nas, Irim Agus on Noir on stage. Namert Negerascore Blianos and Adelin Cutter Cal, I Martas Fiel, Honorach, Kriak Noil, Stite.
This is not really a day for argument or discord. There may be points of view to be thought about, but it is a day devoted to honouring 10 men who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And a day also, as I think people are sensing, to celebrate the independent state that they then helped to create.
Agus tá Kriak ansa. Kriak, Beidir, Agus Omlanu, Glaka, Agus Dere. Long stop, Mas Miamrat.
And the escort of honour already lined up outside here with Captain Tony Casey of the 2nd Battalion, in charge of 40 men drawn from the 2nd Infantry Battalion, Carl Brewer, Lieutenant Neil Deegan with 40 men drawn from the Air Corps, and 40 members of the Naval Service under Sub-Lieutenant Jason Long.
Shinagwe Bana Ibrahim Iden for Veton on Captain Mark Armstrong, Agus 9 on Council, will on winter go Riev le Aram the Heron, wrap the green flag round me boys. Agus Vishin le Clos, Oni Sutter Crocog, on Tesher, on Law of I.
But today, it isn't just people and friends outside a jail singing, keeping their hearts up. But here is the Kevin Barry remains, the first, the youngest of the men executed, the first of the men executed, and followed by his 9 other comrades. And you see that reverse arms and the members of the Naval Service with head bowed, a tradition that goes back to medieval times of knights honouring their dead companions. And now, coming into view, we have Patrick Moran, who was the second of those executed at 6 o'clock on the 14th of March of 1921.
Agus Sean going Thomas Whelan, Var, a Quidacon Bosch, Ega Sheaclog on Vagin Son, Hassador Lekela, Gulen Gulin, Nihawain, Trid, Ach, Con Bosch.
And that was a terrible day in a terrible war of independence. At 7 o'clock, Patrick Doyle paid the ultimate sacrifice. Who stood beside him that same fateful hour. And an hour later, it was the turn of Thomas Bryan. And then, as well as the student Kevin Barry, that other student, Frank Flood, dying at 8 o'clock on the 14th of March.
Thomas Traynor and Son, a Quidacon Bosch, ag a hocht clog, ag an Guigula Fihat, the V Abrain Nidiog Fecha Ham. Edmund Foley, 7 a.m., 7th of the 6th, 21.
And the cortege now, you can see the crowds along the Finglas Road. Spontaneous applause, people wanting to express an emotion, a pent-up emotion. And I noticed earlier on in the day, there were older people and young adults, and there were the children. Children brought, they'll remember, they'll look back. And I saw the same thing here when Roger Casement's remains were removed. And of course, 9 of these men now are going to lie beside Casement.
Agus is tóca go bhfuil sé táchtach le coranúil do Ghaoine, go dagan siad an sa ní in éon ord tácht ná éonrad marsan, ach in ord dáta a grachta. Kevin Barry can tosig an son, mar go raibh éisin an chiad de duine a fórbás sa trasa an déad.
And the pallbearers marching beside each of these dead patriots. This is a party, all of them led by Company Sergeant Daniel Ward, based at the 4th Western Brigade at Customs Barracks in Athlone.
Agus fós, gára malta an slua. Agus heachtasteach go gata na relige, tá taunmhuile éinear an droma ceall. Níl an tionalcan in isán, níl ann ach an tost mar chóirtha beidir don dust shiri.
It's a silence which has a certain natural quality. Outside, people wanted to be part of the ceremony. They wanted to register their approval, their involvement, and their gratitude for the men and women of an extraordinary generation, the founding fathers and mothers of the Irish state, people who at an extraordinary time in European and indeed world history fought and fought successfully for an independent Ireland. And as we watch now the cortege moving along the Finglas Road, it has come right up through the city from the GPO, that seminal point for so much of modern Irish history, and inevitably, of course, stopped along the way at the Garden of Remembrance. The Garden of Remembrance was opened, and the 50th anniversary of the 1916 Rising, it was opened by President De Valera. It's dedicated to the memory of all who gave their lives in the cause of Irish freedom. It's intended to be a place of quiet remembrance and reflection. It's a site with many, many national associations. The Irish Volunteers were founded in 1913 in the Great Rotunda, and on the Saturday following the Rising of Easter week, the prisoners were herded together here and kept all night in the opening. The garden, magnificently designed by Dáithí Hanley, at its centre that sunken area in the shape of a cross, enclosed by a pool of the same shape. On the floor of the pool, a mosaic, and then in the background, that wonderful statue, the statue of King Lear's children, one of the great pieces of work of Oisin Kelly, inspired by the poems of Yeats, and in particular by Easter 1916. And the wording on the plaque, "We saw a vision," written by Liam Muckishtein, reads, "In the darkness of despair we saw a vision. We lit the light of hope and it was not extinguished. In the desert of discouragement we saw a vision. We planted the tree of valor and it blossomed. In the winter of bondage we saw a vision. We melted the snow of lethargy and the river of resurrection flowed from it. We send our vision a swim like a swan on the river. Generations of freedom remember us. And today here in Glasnevin, indeed, that memory is green and fresh and welcome."